Looks like we got everything together. We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. I appreciate everybody showing up. We are here for the Monday, February 10th meeting, post-Super Bowl. Hope everybody's team won. I know it was not the most exciting Super Bowl. We're going to get this meeting started up, and I've asked Commissioner Burkett if he would open us up in prayer, and I will get us started with the pledge after that. So if everybody would please stand.
Let us pray. Our most heavenly and gracious Father, Lord, we just humbly come before you, giving you all the praise, honor, and glory you deserve, Lord. Thank you for each and every person that's here today, Lord. Just pray your protection around us, all keep us all safe, Lord, and just give us the wisdom. Help each and every member on this board, Lord, to have the wisdom to make the right decisions. Lord, be with those that are in need, and we just lift up all of you listen to us in Jesus' holy and precious name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Please join me in our pledge to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So portion where we're going to approve the agenda, I'll go down the line. We have any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Chairman.
No changes, sir.
No changes, sir. Just like to talk about three things on one.
You want three things in your comments?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
No changes.
Okay, thank you. All right. At this point, we'll go to commissioner comments, and so I will just start down the line as well. We'll go down to Commissioner Burkett.
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to take just a brief minute to update the public and the board on the recent trip to Washington, D.C. this past week. As you know, Commissioner Smith and I were not present at Thursday's zoning meeting, but we did call in because we were in Washington, D.C. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for coming on that trip and getting an opportunity to see the hard work and the fruits that have been born from the work of the Northwest Florida Defense Coalition. For those that don't know, that's a two-county, it's a Escambia-Santa Rosa County coalition that was put together to work on advocating for needs, funding, and other needs for our local bases, Whitingfield and NAS Pensacola. And I just want to let everyone know how productive that was. As you can imagine, when you're trying to coordinate meetings with congressmen and senators in D.C., it can be very difficult to arrange that. And we have a very good consultant on staff for the Northwest Florida Defense Coalition by the name of Jeff Burton. And because of his many years of experience and the relationships he has, he was able to score a number of meetings for us, and we had a very packed agenda for the short time we were there. But I just want to let people know that we met with staff members for Representative Tom Cole from Oklahoma, Representative Barry Moore from Alabama, Senator Rick Scott, and Senator Ashley Moody. And some people may not be aware, one of the reasons we meet with congressional leaders outside of the Florida region is because when you start talking about House Armed Services Committee and getting appropriations, a lot of times these other congressional members are on those committees. And Congressman Moore, actually, his new district wraps directly around the Florida Panhandle. So many of the outlying fields that the Navy has are actually in his district. And then we met directly with the following congressmen: Representative Jake Elsie from Texas, who's actually used to be stationed at Whitingfield. We got a full hour with Representative Judge John Carter out of Texas, Representative Tony Gonzalez, who's also a Navy veteran who's been through this community at one point, Representative Neil Dunn from Florida, just next door to us here, and Representative Scott Franklin from the Central Florida area, as well as a number of other congressional staff members. And I just want to thank you for attending that trip. I'm sure you saw a lot of interesting things and saw the relationships that have been built in D.C. in the short year and a half that we've been doing these trips. And I think people will see that there's a number of fruits that have already been born from those efforts. The hangar at Whitingfield that we currently have in the books. It'll be starting construction for the new TH-73 Thrasher helicopter at Whiting, and a number of other things. So I just want to thank you for attending and just give everyone a brief update on what we did there.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. Yeah, it was a rather eye-opening experience. It's at first when I'm going there, I'm like, why would they even want to hear from a lowly county commissioner? But the reality of it is when you get in there, they will listen to. It takes the lobbyists to get you the appointments. The lobbyists, with their connections and their relationships, get you in the door. But the reality of it is these guys really want to hear from the local leadership because they need to know what the feel is. And I did not understand their appreciation for the local leadership coming in and visiting these people. And I found it was a very refreshing atmosphere in D.C. I've gone to D.C. quite often as a tourist, never in that capacity as a worker bee. And having those discussions with some of the staff and the representatives, they're also very excited. They're very excited about our upcoming new representation as well. So, and I thought that was very interesting, and it was very eye-opening to me. But it was very fun, and if work is that hard, it was hard work, but it was that fun work, and I enjoyed it, and it was eye-opening to me. All right, we'll go over to Commissioner Eddington.
Yes, sir. I want to thank y'all for going. I went on that a year and a half ago with Mr. Wright, and it's something you can learn from. And Mr. Wright done a good job for us when I went, and I know he done a good job this time too. And I'm just want to thank y'all for going and getting what you could for us. And I'm glad to have y'all back in one piece. All these planes crashing, you just don't know. I'm glad to have y'all back.
Hey, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, going back to our workshop, when we seemed like we had a consensus for aligning our rural ag line to the Munson and Allentown fire districts, and I was just seeing if we could give permission to go ahead and ask staff to start this process. I want to make sure that was okay. It seemed like we had consensus to move our ag line, which is 182 now, to the southernmost part of the Allentown and Munson fire districts. I wanted to see if that was okay to give staff direction on starting that process.
As far as going into that process, I'll defer to our county attorney.
It would require a land development code ordinance amendment. So they would prepare an amendment, or they give you an overview of the impacts and what the secondary effects are, if any.
So that would be our first step, is to get
Authorize a proposed amendment to land development code to move that line. Planning department would send it to the zoning board, and then would come back to the county commission for advertising and adoption.
Tom, is that something that we need to put on Thursday's regular agenda to have a formal vote on, or is just simply kind of a head nod and a general consensus sufficient?
I mean, it's a staff direction. It might be good to have it on Thursday's agenda just as a matter of record. But the only thing you're going to need official action is to authorize the advertisement and to adopt the ordinance once at the public hearing. But really the board's discretion. I think if y'all just direct staff at this point, the communication's effective, if Mr. Baker agrees.
So because I think we have consensus on the board, so we could go ahead and direct staff to
Start that process.
start the process of the realignment of that by,
Well, as soon as practical. They'll have to get it prepared. They may want to meet with the board to go over it with them. That's up to administration. But then go set it for the next available zoning board. Then it comes to the county commission, and you will authorize the advertising at that point for a public hearing, once it comes back to you from the zoning board.
So at this point, we're just getting staff started on the preliminary work, groundwork to get this going.
Correct. We'll get it started.
So there's no need to bring this back up Thursday?
It looks like there's a consensus for the board where staff will get on it.
Okay, thank you. All right, Commissioner Eddington, you said you had like 3 items?
That's on my operation.
Okay, I got you. I thought you said you had 3 items for commissioner comments. So everybody's got their ideas out there. I'm going to float an idea that's something that I've been thinking about. And when we look at some of our neighboring counties, we look at, and let me tell you something. This is one of the things that I'm not the biggest fan of, is having a bunch of attorneys surrounding us. No offense to you, Jason, nor you, Tom, but I do believe that we are a little deficient right now with the amount of land development and land use, contracts, all of the work that we're piling on one attorney. And I want to start a conversation. I'm not saying a conversation to, let's just see where the conversation goes as far as possibly getting in and bringing in an additional attorney with Tom to work on some of this workload that we have. And I'm not saying there's a deficiency. I'm just saying I'm seeing that there's a possibility of a deficiency with the amount of workload that we're going to have coming this way. And I don't really know how to get that conversation started and where to start that, but do we put it in a regular meeting to the Thursday meeting, or do we go ahead and open it? I mean, I'm not wanting to open up a big can here and kind of break my own rule when it comes to addressing without being on the agenda. But I would like us to start a discussion, is where I'm going.
Well, if the board wants a assistant county attorney for land use and to assist with contracts, you could authorize me to pursue that and advertise and solicit applications.
So we do it the same way, basically with a head nod from the board, or is that something we have to vote on?
Well, it'll require a budget amendment at some point, but really the budget amendment may be the only official action the board has to take, because it's just like me hiring a secretary. But if you want me to solicit and look around for appropriate people who could benefit the county and be productive,
Okay.
we can start that search.
Okay, we could do that without discussion, or is this something that we need to put as a discussion item? I'm looking at my board members because I want to get your feel of this.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question to Tom. Tom, do you feel like you need an assistant? Honest.
Well, I mean, Santa Rosa County's pretty known for being kind of lean and mean, but that's at the wishes of the board. If you think we can use those extra resources, that's at the wishes of the board. Other counties certainly have more people, but that's doesn't mean we need to. But if the board feels we need more resources, that's a policy decision for the board.
I'm all for giving you the help if you need it. And y'all know me being an employee, ex-employee, I'm for getting you the help you need. But my question is, do you need it? And if you do, then hey, I'm all for it. If not, then let's just hold and see. It's my way of looking at it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I understand your concerns. I share some of those. I think it would be in my opinion that I prefer that we be very cautious and judicious on it. I think it would be appropriate. I think the next meeting, according to the calendar, I think we have a committee meeting on the 24th. And my thought would be maybe, put that on the 24th meeting as an agenda item for discussion. That way the board has some time to kind of do a little bit of research between now and then, discuss with staff, and actually have an item on there to discuss. And then I think it'd be wise to probably have some discussions with Sabrina too on what that would look like from a budgeting aspect. So knowing that it would require a budget amendment as well, based on any decision that was made. So that'd just be my recommendation. We put on the meeting for the 24th as an agenda item for discussion.
Okay, appreciate that. Commissioner Eddington, do you have any input on this?
No, sir. If we need one and he needs help, I'm all for it. But we just make sure that new attorney's gonna be doing. Will he be doing just the LDC stuff, land, zoning board stuff?
Well, you'd
That's
have,
what I wanna know.
you wouldn't want to have them fixed because you don't want them sitting there with dead time. You'd have the person, you'd need someone skilled where they could be flexible and address personnel and contracts and land use and civil rights and various other things, but they could concentrate in certain areas.
Okay.
Commissioner Rao, do you have any input?
Yeah, I like Commissioner Wright's idea. Give us some time to do the research and then go into it. But I'm A-okay having the conversation at the 23rd. You said 24th.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to tend to agree with you two on that. Let's go ahead and put it on the agenda for the 24th, and then I'll be another year wiser then. All right. Yeah, it's my last week of the 50s. I'll be going into the dreaded 60s next week. I got to grow up. All right. So we've finished that portion of the commissioner comments. We have an upcoming proclamation. So that's going to be for the February 13th meeting, and we have another, and that proclamation is for the Day of Hope at Pace High School. It's a suicide prevention program that the students and staff have put together there at Pace High School. And then the second one is an upcoming proclamation for the 211 month for United Way. And I have to send out my apologies to United Way. They had approached me a couple of weeks ago, and I think I came back with a very, very tardy response because it was still sitting in my drafts box. I did not send it. So as soon as I saw it, I sent it, and I was on the phone with you. And that's for that next one. And today, the next part of this one, we have a presentation from the Tobacco-Free Public Space, and that's Florida Department of Health. And if you guys come on up. Uh-oh, I'm seeing the technical guy back up here again. I know. Gentlemen, y'all have a folder up in front of us here for a presentation. Good morning. I'm sorry, push that mic. You'll push it.
Enough?
There you go.
How's
There you
that?
go.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing this opportunity. I'm Denise Manassa. I'm the chairman for the Santa Rosa County Tobacco Coalition. So in your packet today, you do have the PowerPoint. You also have a sample of public policy for public health. You have the Milton Ordinance and the Gulf Breeze Ordinance. And we've also spoken to Jay as well, and moving forward with the ordinance there. So really what we're here to talk about today is public health and related to tobacco. And I'm having trouble. Okay, basically our mission for the coalition is to reduce the prevalence of tobacco use. Now, tobacco has changed throughout the years, and so it's just not smoked tobacco. We're also looking at smokeless tobacco and vapes. The purpose really is to enhance our public health, just not with our adolescents, but with our adults as well. So the coalition engages representatives like you, public, officials, but we also engage the public. We have business people on our coalition. We also have health experts on our coalition. We have representatives from the health department here to enhance our mission as well. The coalition has been established since 2008. We also have what we look at is, again, holistically, this public health venture, because we know heart disease is on the rise and other things related to tobacco use. So the Clean Air Act for Florida came about in 1985. So this is not a new adventure for us here in Florida, but it is a constant adventure that we need to look at. So as of 1985, there were some new policies that came into place for the Clean Air Act in Florida, and it happened in 2022. And that allows you, as representatives of us in this community, to make local ordinances related to ask and where we're at public health-wise. So this policy allows you, as representatives of the city and the county, to make those changes. So this amendment allows local leaders like you to develop and implement tobacco-free public policies related to parks and beaches. We understand that our beaches are a destination for a lot of people. Today, we're really looking at our parks, where our families go and where children go, and look at it as a way to represent this community where we put in place the mindset that we want clean air outside as well, but also looking at behavior, how we're encouraging young people and adults to live a healthier lifestyle. So I'm going to go ahead and move past this one. It's really more focused on the beaches, but today we're really looking at the parks. But at your leisure, you can read through these slides. We do know that tobacco products cause a lot of waste. It also infiltrates our water system as well. So these are just some slides showing you what we've encountered at the beach and at some of our waterways along the streets, but also in our parks. If you don't know what a vape device is, this is a picture of a vape device that we took a picture of at a public park. And there's another picture of a vape device. They're also called ends. There's many slang words that are used for these devices as well. The legal age for devices and tobacco products in the state of Florida is 21. So really looking again at our policy, it's up to us to lead community members to a healthier lifestyle and help encourage, again, grow our youth to also live those healthy lifestyles. And we believe that this ordinance change of language can help with that. So really, what's the ask? That's what we're here for, is really what the ask is. Your current policy, which is in your packet, it's on page 16. Yours isn't numbered, but mine is. So it's really past the pictures. If you really look at the ordinances, currently your ordinance just says the smoking of tobacco as defined shall be prohibited in any county park where such prohibited is posted. So we're not asking either for you to pay for new signs. I believe the health department will be able to do that, correct? Yes. All right. So the language change that we're really asking you for is to be more inclusive to the language, to include smokeless tobacco, electronic nicotine delivery systems, which is called ENDS, is a slang word, including vapes, pens, and vaping products. Also, we've seen a rise in what we're now seeing as nicotine pouches. It's different than smokeless tobacco. It's tobacco products that are concealed in a pouch, and we're seeing a rise in that in our younger adults and young people. And new and emerging tobacco products. That way we don't have to come back here in a couple of years and have you change the language. When we make it inclusive, it will help you move forward. And that's really what the ask is today, is to consider that language change for the county. So today also, we have a representative from our SWAT students. They are our driving force for the young people. They live and breathe this, and they also represent which one day will be adults in our community. And they really have the best voice. And James is here, and James is going to come up and speak on that.
Good morning. I am James Rohr. I am a sophomore at Pace High School, and today I'm here on behalf of Santa Rosa County's students working against tobacco clubs to press the issue of including smokeless tobacco and vapes into the existing tobacco-free policy for all parks and beaches. Imagine with me, you're sitting on a beach with your family when suddenly a group of people walk past your chairs using vapes and dropping the empty cartridges in the sand, or you're feeding the ducks at the local park with your kids and see a lot of vape cartridges in the pond polluting the environment and causing harm to local wildlife as well as people. The main cause of harm to people is the pollution caused by these tobacco products. Regular cigarettes already are a huge detriment to local environments, but vapes are much worse than normal cigarettes. While normal cigarettes already pollute the environment by releasing toxic chemicals, vapes do that and so much worse. According to the point of not only biohazards, but plastic and electronic waste as well. According to the National Institute of Health, e-cigarettes have different types of waste, including biohazard, plastic, and electronic waste. We contend that the potential waste load from e-cigarettes components exceeds that of traditional cigarettes due to the larger amount of components. On top of that, considering how we're uniquely located on the coast of the Gulf, when it rains heavily, those chemicals and other wastes run on off into the Gulf, causing even more problems for the environment and the life in it. With this said, we call for you to include chewed tobacco and vapes into the tobacco-free policy for local parks and beaches. Thank you.
Thank you, James. So there's also stories from other students in your packet today, and also in your packet, later on in the packet, on your slides. I'm not going to go through those. At your leisure, please read that. It gives you some data on what we're seeing for our adolescents. And when our adolescents start to use tobacco products, we want to encourage them to live a tobacco-free lifestyle, but changing the ordinance and changing this language will help implement that when they're out in the community as well. And I'm done unless anybody has any questions.
Oh, I sure appreciate your presentation, and I appreciate that young man coming up here and giving his presentation as well. It takes a lot to get up there in front of people and read these things, but you did a great job, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And please, at your leisure, read from the other students. They are very instrumental on their drive, and maybe one day they might be up here representing our community later on.
Amen, amen.
right.
Yeah, I know as being a former smoker myself, I think I quit back in 2008. And
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been one of those things. It was a journey. You know, I quit smoking, and then I just became a full-time dipper because I always dipped when I fished. You couldn't take up a cigarette hand when you're fishing and throwing a bait caster. But luckily, I got past that because dipping is way more addictive than smoking is and I always knew that I always used my smoking as my nicotine light was basically the way I went about it. But smoking's a lot more problematic to the people around you than dipping is. So
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot more challenges with vapes. So.
yeah, and the vapes, I'm so sick of seeing those empty cartridges everywhere. They are very, very. It's bad enough to see cigarette butts when you're seeing electronic cartridges busted up in parking lots because that's where people think that they need to throw things. You know, that is something that's very.
So we appreciate your time and this consideration.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just real quick, I don't have a question. Thank you for presenting. Thank you for coming out. I know that the main goal of your organization is to, educate at a very young age, because that's, the elementary students see the middle school and the high school students doing it, and then it's just, that's just, we get in a bad habit there. I was lucky enough when I was in high school to be a part of this club, but it used to be called something else. I want to ask the board. It used to be called Tattoo, T-A-T-U, T-A-T-U. Anybody want to take a guess what that meant?
Tobacco.
Teens Against Tobacco Usage.
Yeah.
Mr. Dobson, did you know that?
I did not.
That was a long time ago, but yeah, so that's what it used to be, tattoo, Teens Against Tobacco Usage. At least at J High School, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for coming. Thank you
you.
for speaking.
You are a little bit younger than me. We had a smoking section at my high school.
Yeah. 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 Yes. Yes, Mr. Smith, people our age had smoking sections.
But,
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't quit. I didn't even start smoking until well, hate to say this, my 6th year in college. I'm still not a doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. We have 2 public hearings coming up this Thursday. One is for the right-of-way on Deaton Bridge Road. We have backup to support that, so it gives people time to look at that before Thursday's hearing. And we also have a second one for Del Rey Street, and I believe that one's down in Gulf Breeze or Navarre area. All right. Our next portion of the meeting is public forum. So I'm going to name them off from the top, and I believe we do have some on public forum that are here for another reason, and I don't know if you're here and you hear me call your name and I see some tobacco prevention, so okay. I'll still call your name. First on the list is Pauline Grimes. And I want to also point out the fact that we do not have a visible timer. There's something going on with that. Ms. Gilly will be keeping the timer over there to that end, and when you hear the bell ring over there on that end, that's when your time is up.
Pauline Mulett, how are the builders still getting away with building houses on these wetlands? Kip is building more on Damon. He destroyed the natural spring also. Damon looks like a nightmare. Now, I can't believe there is not someone who can stop the madness. Where is the holding pond going to go? If the builders are fined $500,000 a day, I think that would sort of stop them. I have not seen wildlife in a long time except squirrels and birds. And God left man in charge, and they are destroying their habitat. Does the love of money mean that much to them? Genesis 1:24 said, God let the earth bring forth every kind of animal, cattle, reptiles, wildlife. In the 28th Genesis, you are master of the fish, birds, and animals. They're supposed to take care of man. Kip told me he was selling the houses for $200,000. Now I hear he's going to go more. I wonder why. Seems like I'm wasting my time because I see nothing change. I see trucks all the time delivering lumber, machines to clear the land. In my 43 years, the water in the stream Furlong has never been as high as it has now. And we're going to get some rain this week. When they dug up the road by Damon, it needs to be fixed. I have to drive 1 mile an hour to get over it. It goes, I have to slow down every time. Paving Furlong will be a mistake because the cement will not soak up the water. It will come in my yard, but no one seems to care, and it still needs to be a law that people who buy these houses on these wetlands, you need to tell them their house will sink one day. And we need a light at Damon, Del Monte, and Avalon bad. I called last year. She said they'd have one, but I think y'all would have an influence to get a light at Del Monte and Avalon. Well, commissioners, have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mrs. Grimes. Next is Matthew Cotton. Did I get that right?
Matthew Cotton.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. And I'm the pastor at Avalon Baptist Church. I live on Shemuckle Highway in Pace. And I'm here to speak. I thank you very much for hearing us, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests and members of the community. I want to say I'm very appreciative of our firefighters and those kinds of things, but first responders, our EMS is my next door neighbor. We share a parking lot. We actually had the opportunity to bless them by sharing our space during the blizzard so that they could spend the night there and not have to drive home on these roads. So we partner with them willfully, and we want to help them. We've even donated to our local fire district in the past, but now we have been assigned a non-ad valorem tax. Now, it doesn't say tax on my tax bill from the tax man, but it's a section at the top says ad valorem tax, and then it goes down to the bottom and says non-ad valorem assessment, which is still a tax. And it's a frighteningly huge number compared to the number that it was before, which was 0, and now just for our small church is over $4,000. And this, I just want to take this opportunity. At the heart of this discussion is a recent legislative approach that processes the imposition of a non-ad valorem tax on churches and other nonprofit organizations through an empowerment of state-managed fire district boards. While this proposal may have been designed with the intent of supporting fire districts and the valuable services they provide, we must carefully consider the broader implications it holds, especially for our religious institutions and those who benefit from the mission-driven work in our communities. First, let me be clear. We deeply respect and appreciate the hard work, dedication, and bravery of our firefighters. These individuals risk their lives daily to ensure the safety and well-being of our communities. Without question, they play a vital role, and we want to support their services. However, it's crucial that we work together to sustain these essential services. We also uphold the democratic principle that the voice of the people, the very citizens and organizations we aim to serve, must remain central in the decision-making process. And the introduction of a non-ad valorem tax for churches raises serious concerns, particularly when we consider the lack of clear recourse for citizens to voice opposition to appeal such a tax. Our churches, often the heart and soul of our community, are not just places of worship, but also pillars of charity and education and support for those in need. And to place a financial burden on them could undermine their ability to carry out their mission and serve our neighborhoods. The fundamental concern here is that under this proposal, fire district boards are empowered by state legislation, would have the authority to impose such taxes without apparent oversight or accountability to the public. And I wanted you people to know that that's what's going on. So we can come to you and tell you, and you just say, well, I'm so sorry, because there's a legislative board that's sort of pigeonholed somewhere that I don't even know who they are. And it's not only a question of fairness, but constitutional principle. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. This next one is Denise Manasseh, and I think she's here with a cigarette. Okay. Next will be Sherry Chapman.
Sherry Chapman, P. Ridge. First of all, I'd like to thank the commissioners and the staff. If you call in and ask for something or make a comment to someone in the hall, it's amazing how quickly it gets handled, and I do appreciate that, and the citizens appreciate it. These meetings have taken a totally different atmosphere, and it's because of you guys listening to those of us that are out here. First of all, I'd like to say that the LDC code rewrite that's coming up, as Commissioner Rowell said earlier, there are some things that we need to do now, and I appreciate the fact that he brought that forward, because our rule line is in a bad place and has been for a couple of years. There were a lot of people that came to the last LDC right, and this room was full of citizens. And I'm not sure how y'all are going to go about selecting a panel of 10 people out of the many, many people that came to these meetings, stayed late, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes. But the citizens that have been involved in the Land Development Code need to continue to be involved. There was a lot of things that were just totally not even brought forth last time. And this needs to be a group that will go through every word and every page of the Land Development Code and get with their district commissioner and get the feedback with them. Another thing too is we have the biggest thing is commissioners not being able to respond to the citizens after this comment. And citizens are asking for it. In fact, that's one of the biggest complaints that comes on this new panel is that we don't have anything. So it might be an idea to have commissioner response complete right after public forum, not necessarily give them the whole lowdown, but my number is, or call my office, make an appointment, I'm your commissioner. I've been looking into that just very briefly so that people do not feel that they come up here and speak needlessly and the wall's the only thing that hears them, even though that's not the case. Another thing, we need to hold our state watershed and EPA accountable. You guys in the county are doing what you can do for these problems that are on Mulat, but we have to have someone on our behalf as citizens going to these, maybe our attorney, going and saying, hey, these people are ruining our land and you people are coming down here and not really doing much. They can stop the building, they can fine them unimaginable amounts. We're limited because of the state legislations put on us as a county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chapman. Arthur Hauk.
Hello, Arthur Hauk, Avalon Beach area. I have some pamphlets that are being passed out to the commissioners now that I'd appreciate if you just take a look at. I know everybody's seen these pictures. Basically, I want to stress that the clearing that's been done on Damon Drive and Furlong Drive, the amount of water that was being absorbed by the trees that were removed there is well over 500,000 gallons of water on the average storm in the summer. And there's no drainage pond. So where is that water going? It's going in front of my house. And in between Furlong and Damon and my house is 3 septics that were put in. Those septic drain lines in the summertime during high tide are underwater. So I think it makes sense that maybe some of that stuff that's in those drainage lines is coming not just in front of my house, but in the Mulat Bayou. The reason I bought my property was because of the 100-foot of waterfront and a beautiful ecosystem. I used to see and catch bluegills, bass, trout, and redfish there. That ecosystem has been destroyed from clay and other sediments coming from over 300 truckloads of clay fill brought into Avalon Beach area. And this is all without any infrastructure or drainage considerations. The seagrass is dying. I have dead fish in front of my house 2 times after the extreme flooding of clay after the storms. Now, I've not seen any of those fish I used to see. I'd like to see some accountability for this destruction. I'd like to see some transparency as to how we're going to make sure that this behavior that causes this kind of destruction is stopped. In the last 5 months, I've spoke with over 850 local people about the issues, and nobody thinks there should be any more building in Avalon Beach. Now, I know building's going to happen, but we're being flooded out, and this summer, it's going to be a disaster. We need drainage ponds, and we need them fast. And I'd like to thank Mr. Burkett for putting together a team to try to solve this problem. I'd like to thank him for getting Damon Drive Road worked on. It looks good. But let's think ahead here, and I'd like to get, I'd like you to look at the third picture there. The first, if you go to the second picture now, 3 minutes ain't enough time. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, next we have Jim Waters. And before you start, sir, I'm going to look at head nods across the board because I saw Commissioner Burkett was wanting to respond to something. Are you guys good with doing a general response after public forum? I'll just give me a head nod. You know, you can, we'll limit ourselves to 3 minutes apiece. How's that? How's that sound to you, Miss Gilly? We'll get you to time us too, so we don't get spiraled out. So if we respond, because I think that's a good idea from Mrs. Chapman, we can respond to the whole thing at one time. Pick your points as you're taking notes up here, but you got 3 minutes. All right? Sound good? Got consensus across?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I do think that we could likely run into a situation where many of these situations that get brought up to us are far more complicated than 3 minutes would allow
Yeah,
for a response.
I know.
But I mean, I'll just go ahead and preface it by saying anyone is able to reach out to me via email, phone call, stop by the office anytime, and I'll always make time for people. I'll do my best to respond in the most efficient way I can. But
Commissioner Wright, that's what I wanted to do, is be able to give you time to put that out too. You know, at that point, we can just sit here and say we're available for that. We're all available. Every one of us are available. So, all right, we'll go from there.
All right.
Go ahead, sir.
Could I say one thing, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Talk, I appreciate your comments, but I just want to bring that we're a team from here to here, and there's no I in team. It's just we're a team together, okay? I just want to bring that out. And
Okay.
we're going to work to get things straightened, and I'm available at any time. Thank you.
All right. So I think we got a rule here: no Florida shirts. All right, Jim Waters. You got to push the button. Push that key. Push that red key.
Hey, an Auburn fan, and it was a bad Saturday for you. So anyway, hey, Jim Waters with the Santa Rosa Baptist Association, collection of 40 churches that partner together for the gospel. And I'm here in support of the pastors because 20 of those churches, about half of our churches, are affected by the new tax that Mr. Cotton spoke to. And we're here to make y'all aware. And I want to thank Brad Baker for giving us some kind of further information before the meeting today, and really some avenues to pursue to kind of help our churches in that. But again, we just want to kind of put that before you, and in any churches in your district that are affected, again, any phone calls you can make would be greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jerry Cooey.
Jerry Cooey, Milton, Florida, and I appreciate the opportunity. I want to thank all of you for coming back to give and take a little bit here. We all suffered 8 years in one and 4 years in another that caused a lot of problems. I think you're going to see with a new board, you're going to see that it's not going to be so massively confrontational. And most of the time, those confrontations was based on 2 people, not the other 3. So thank you. And I appreciate you putting in the Parker rule to hold it at 3 minutes. I want to talk about Avalon Boulevard and the situation there. I'm going to say it again. Unpermitted, illegal, illicit discharge on multiple times in violation of the state and federal Clean Water Act. Those words should mean something to you. I know, and it was said privately to Commissioner Burkett, I will say it again to the 5 of you. I understand you're working on it. We just want you to be as strong as you possibly can on this issue. I encourage you to write those letters and those emails and stand upon DEP and Northwest Florida Water Management District. And for the record, one time Northwest Florida Water Management District sent a letter up here thinking that getting rid of the well protection area was a good idea. So that'll give you a little clue into how they operate. We simply, as a people, need you to do everything you can to protect the environment. Now, I know we're heading into LDC conversations, And I would hope that this time around there won't be a special table up here with a tablecloth and 4 chairs for the king to sit at. This needs to be driven by the citizens who these resources belong to. And these decisions don't need to be based on money. They need to be based on our stewardship of the resources that we have. One of the greatest things that we have in Santa Rosa County is our resources. And we need to get serious about protecting them. One final issue that kind of came to my mind today, we typically build roads when there's a need. And it just hits me strange that all of a sudden we jumped out there, and while Avalon Boulevard was being 4-lane, we put one of those clay roads in, and it caused all kind of problems. And now all of a sudden this clay road showed up. So I hope it doesn't become a process of the county to put roads in specifically for development. I'm all for spending money on road improvements and things of that nature, but this road gets put in, and now we see what's happening on either side of it. So I would just ask that we think about that when we make decisions to build roads in Santa Rosa County. What is it actually for? Does it help the citizens that are already there, or is this for one specific group? And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Diane DeWiggins?
Good morning. I would like to say a few things about Mulet Bayou and also related subjects. The first is we need some drainage ponds in the Furlong and Damon area. There's not any. That 500,000 or millions of gallons of water that the trees cleaned, that when the wetlands were destroyed, it's got to have somewhere, it's got to have some kind of process, and the drainage ponds seems to be the way to go right now. I'd like to thank you for deciding to respond to our concerns, because it means a lot to think that and to know that you are listening and you are going to try to do your job. On Furlong and on Damon, we drive down there once or twice, just about every day, and it's no news. We look every day and we don't have any kind of updates or information. It's just the water is getting higher and higher, and on Tinsley, it's going over the road just a tad, but we hadn't had any rain in a long time, and when we get some rain, we're worried. It's stressful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. All right, next is Ryan Fowler.
Morning, Ryan Fowler, Pace. So, welcome, new board members. I haven't been here for a while, but I'm here. So LDC's back on the agenda. A resolution. Really caught my eye that there's an alternative subdivision even mentioned on there again. If you've never heard of it, in 2021 to 2023, this county was doing it. Last board, some of those members that are no longer here pushing it hard. Basically, developer doesn't have to get a rezone. They just submit the plat. Any size lots go. So it's hurting the northern agricultural area, totally changing the dynamic up there, turning into some kind of cities, little mini cities everywhere. I live up there. I just don't want it to be like the city, and neither do our neighbors. So we're asking that you remove that verbiage from that. You know, you're probably going to vote Thursday, but remove that alternative subdivision verbiage even off of the proclamation when you form this LDC board. And I don't know who's going to be on the board, but my fear is, the developers will somehow get in there and give you recommendations that the people don't want. And I just don't want to go down that road again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Chris Kerb.
Thank you. I passed a handout there. Chris Kerr with Flood Defenders. We had a meeting yesterday at Ace's Hangar with the Avalon Beach neighborhood. And I wrote up some notes this morning, and on the way in, I was listening to some music. There's 3 different artists, AC/DC, Ozzy, and Judas Priest. They all sing songs about breaking the law. We got some bad actors in Santa Rosa County breaking the law. One of them, not even a bad guy. I've talked to him several times. His name's Thomas Cornelius, and he's over on Furlong. You know what he told me? He says everybody clears without permits. He can't understand why he got a $35,000 fine because he cleared without permits. Then he went back in there on that map there. He obstructed a drainage way. And he tried to restore it. With every intention on building houses there, part of a common larger development handout I gave you doesn't have a Chapter 62-330 environmental resource permit, which is state law. Then you got Damon Drive, down the street. Mr. Kit Walker, he divided up all the properties into different LLCs, different ownerships, so he could skirt the law. So how do we fix this? You do it with your home rule instead of going, hey, DEP, do your job. Hey, Water Management District, do your job. APA, do your job. No, we need to do our job. Our codes do not need to refer to those regulations. They need to match those regulations or be stricter. Sabrina's mentioned several times that these are the lowest staffing levels per capita of population. Inspection and enforcement is what you need. You need to be proactive rather than reactive. I'll go ahead and tell you, Escambia County don't allow this crap over there.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be
And
reading
next
some
on,
codes at the land development.
Next on is Jeremy Holly.
Yes, Chairman and Board, thank you for the opportunity to speak on the ad valorem assessment, as has already been mentioned by my brothers. Thank you, Commissioner Burkett and Commissioner Eddington, for taking the time to meet with me. Commissioner Wright, I appreciate your comments. I did try to get in to your office and meet with you, but schedules would not allow for that. I would love to sit down with each of you one-on-one and share my heart, but felt like that with the timing and the urgency around the matter, we needed to bring this to a public setting. I wanted to talk about why I believe that not only is the ad valorem against Florida state law and unconstitutional, but also not in the best interest of the county. And I do have an ask, and that's for the board to agree with that assessment and request the state to reverse that assessment on nonprofit organizations, specifically churches. The reason that I say that it's against Florida state law is because, as has already been stated, it came as an ad valorem assessment. Not an ad valorem tax, but an ad valorem assessment. Now, when you read about what an ad valorem is, I'm sure you're all familiar with ad valorem. It actually says it's based on value. Ad valorem means based on value. The greater the value, the greater the assessment. It is a tax. They can call it an assessment, but it is a tax. Florida state law says that portions of property predominantly used for charitable, religious, scientific, or literary purposes are exempt from such taxes. It actually came from the tax office, and it came on a bill that we receive every year that has a $0 amount because we are, as a nonprofit, exempt. And instead, this year it was $16,000. Not only did we receive a bill for taxes that we should be exempt from, we also received no notice that they were planning on doing this. And so the first notice we got was a bill that said this is due in a couple months. Now, that's why I believe that it's not constitutional. Here's why I don't believe it's in the best interest of the county. Because whether you understand and appreciate the spiritual investment that churches make in the county or not, you should be able to see the practical benefit of churches. I know that all of the churches represented here today pour back into the community, give back to the community, support the community, oftentimes when they're in their greatest time of need. We have a food pantry that's open every Monday and Wednesday where we give out thousands of pounds of food to the community in need. We assisted 26,000 individuals last year alone who were in great need. We have a cold weather shelter through Ferris Hill Baptist Church, one of our sister churches, that's provided a lot of support and assistance to people facing unprecedented weather challenges and cold weather here in the state of Florida. And so we do so much for the community and request that you agree that this needs to be reversed so that we could provide that support to the state. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We've wrapped up public forum. And at this time, sir, you have to sign up. I'm going to give you this one time. You've been a frequent flyer in the past.
I have been a frequent flyer in the past.
So next time, I want you to come in and sign this sheet, though, okay?
I will, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate you giving me this moment. Happy to see all these new faces.
Give us your name and
I'm
address.
Stanley Gray, and I'm from Point Baker. And I appreciate the input that the public has given you today and in the past, and the action that you folks are taking. You're doing a great job, and I know you will, as long as you continue getting the support from the group that you have here. They are identifying unsafe acts, unsafe conditions, and unhealthy conditions. And it's our job to provide a safe and healthy environment. As a safety professional, I identified unsafe and unhealthy conditions in order to prevent them from occurring. These folks are identifying things that you need to take a look at and make sure that you have the opportunity to go ahead and prevent instead of react and try to respond to something that is already messing everything up. It's important that we all work together. Like Bobby said, we're all a team. Y'all are not just the team. We got a team right here that's very good resources for you to keep the litigation out, which saves the taxpayers money. There's no point in wasting that kind of money. Prevention is the key. I love you guys. I thank you so much, and my door will always be open. You don't need a lobbyist to come and talk to me.
Thank you, sir. All right. We're going to, as I did in the impromptu, and please forgive me, but I'll go ahead and get us started. Just kind of give you an idea of what I'm thinking about, and I will push a timer just so I have an idea too. So here, I'm going to start off with the fire assessment. It's something that was not well thought out. I'm in agreement with the pastors on this, and I think there's something that could be done on this. Mrs. Chapman, the entire LDC will not be opened up. We've identified problems that we see. We're not about to spend 5 years to open up every jot and tittle of that. As far as some of the development that goes on down there, I'm going to just caution you. I know that and I'm not going to do this out of embarrassment, but I know one such house that when we have the individual up here, he was a part of being fined because of problems that he did. We have codes in place. People break them. People break them sometimes accidentally. But I think we've been working hard, and I think we've been doing all of the due diligence we can to get things done. As far as Mr. Cooey, we've been in touch with DEP. We've been working with these guys. We've been trying to alleviate this problem. This has not been something that we've been kicking a can, the proverbial can. We've not been doing this. We've been working our tails off, and I don't think there's one commissioner up here that's not been involved with this, not to mention staff that's been the force behind it. As far as putting in a new road, I don't care where you put in a new road. There's going to be people out there accusing somebody of making a side deal. And we need new roads. There's new roads that are needed. These are things that this is something that I ran on. And when you get up here, you start realizing, well, I can't do that. And I'm going to tell you another example. Some of the dirt roads that are back there in Mulat, I was looking at them a long time ago as being something that needed to be paved because I hate seeing red clay roads that close to waterways. But then it was told to me, he said, well, you got to be careful because the minute you do that, somebody's going to start building houses, and then all of a sudden you pave those roads for that developer. And that's like, it's catch-22. It really is. It's a tough position, and there's a reason why every one of us pray really hard before we get up here, because it is a tough position to be in. You're never going to satisfy everybody, and there's going to be people that are going to be ticked off at you either way you come. That's about all I've got. I don't want to start the next one because it'll give me more than 12 seconds, and that's all I see I have. Is that correct? So I'm going to stop right there. Who wants to be next?
I will. I say agree with everything you just said. It's a tough decision that we have to make. I want people to know that we're working diligently at making some changes. It's going to be positive. I feel like that we are, as I said before, we're a team. We want to have a better goal outcome than what we've had in the past. And so I feel like we're heading that direction. We are working diligently at making some changes. I think the task force that we're bringing on is going to be a grave asset to us, or tremendous asset to us, should I say. I just want people to know that I am available at any time you want to meet with me. See that lady right there? She'll set up a time with you. I'll be glad to meet with you. My phone number's available. You can email me, District 1, Santa Rosa County.fl.gov. I promise you I will answer your email. If I don't do it that day, sometimes I get called up and I can't. I will answer your email the next day, so don't think I won't respond to you. It may not be what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you the best of my ability, the honesty that I can do. So other than that, just continue to bring the issues to us and let us try to address them, and know that we are working diligently to be for you. Your safety is our number one concern, so that and our environment. I ran on the tree cutting, and I'm not going to shut up on that, so y'all don't worry about that. I'm going to try my best to stop all that if I possibly can. Thank you.
Commissioner Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I oftentimes get criticized for my extremely logical and direct approach, and sometimes people feel as though that means that I don't have feelings or that I'm not empathetic, and that could not be further from the truth. I understand people come to this podium and they're very frustrated, and I think it's important that the people in the audience that come and speak at the podium and are frustrated understand that we are equally as frustrated for a number of reasons. We're frustrated with many of the same things you guys are talking about, and sometimes we're frustrated with the way you're approaching us. And that's me just being 100% honest with you. And the reason being, our hands are tied in so many ways by the state legislature. And yet we have people week after week after week come to this podium and come to us about it. I would love to see you folks get a 15-passenger van and drive down to Tallahassee or go to the state representative's office here locally and let them know. Coming to us is one thing. Trust me, we are all frustrated with the same thing. We have those conversations. But I'm telling you right now, us talking to one state representative or two state representatives or one state senator only goes so far. And trust me, we have those, at least I can speak for myself. I have those conversations. But I am but one voice. From day one, I didn't like the fire assessment fee. I thought it was a terrible idea, but I'm one person. Okay? I was put in a position where I had a state senator on one side, a state representative on that side as well, and I had fire departments on the other. I think somewhere in the middle was a place to be, but there were extreme stances taken, and that's where we ended up where we are. I didn't like it. I think it's unfair. At the same time, I will say that if you want to look logically at the cost of fighting a fire on a 10,000 square foot church versus a 1,500 square foot home, one has to understand there's a much bigger risk on one versus the other. When it comes to Mulat Bayou, look, I understand the concerns and the situation there. I think it's important, though, that people remember just because they live there before the other developments coming in, it's not fair to look at it that way. It's not fair to be upset with other people wanting to build homes to provide homes for people. And I think you also need to remember that because we may not have a policy or regulation right now based on the way that property was originally platted and designed, and the attorney can explain more about that, but we can't retroactively go back and change the rules on people. So we can look at what we do going forward, but no different than if there's a law that says, you'll go to jail if you drive over 55 miles an hour. If that was put in place today, they don't retroactively go to everyone that ever got a speeding ticket for doing 65 and a 55 and throw them in jail. We can't retroactively go back and address land development issues, and we are working diligently to try to solve problems, but every time you make a regulation or a policy, something else creeps up. It's just the nature of it. I've used the term whack-a-mole a number of times here, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Eddington.
All right. Mr. Smith, you were talking about paving the dirt roads. You are correct. I've had some people want roads paved in Holly by the Sea. We paving some. Guess what? We're getting houses built. Now they upset about that. There ain't nothing we can do. They wanted road paved. We done it. But I'm with y'all. We're trying to do everything we can to help the people here in Santa Rosa. Yeah, I'm against the fire tax like they hit y'all with, but there wasn't nothing we could do. I feel sorry for you. We don't have that in Navarre, but we'll probably get it too before it's over with. And I'm against that much, But we do listen. I'm in my office every day. If I'm not here in Milton, I'm in Navarre in my office. And believe me, in my office in Navarre, I get hammered for people coming to my office. They've never had a commissioner down there every day, 2 days a week when I can be there. Sometimes on Tuesdays we have meetings up here. I got to be. On Thursday I have to be here. I just don't like to drive back and forth, and I try to stay down there as much as I can. But my door's open to anybody. I don't care where you live. District 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We all are county-wide, and we will work with y'all. Every one of us, we are a team. This is the best board I've been on right here. We all get along. We don't scream. We don't holler at each other. And we don't holler at y'all, and y'all don't holler at us. Yeah, I get upset with some of y'all. You preach to us. We can't do nothing about it. We do what we can. And I hope people realize that a lot. We do what we can for y'all, but our hands is tied. Like Mr. Wright said, go to Tallahassee, hit them people. That would be a big help to us and y'all. You talk to the senators and everybody like that. That would help y'all a lot. And that would help us. They would know where we coming from too. But if we don't have y'all up there preaching to them, it ain't helping us at all. We getting the blame for it, and it ain't us. We are not to blame for everything. We got laws from the state we have to go by. Yeah, I wish we could find the people a little bit more, but we cannot. And the other problem we get people to do this stuff on the weekend when we don't have code enforcement out there on the weekend. I caught one last week doing something they wasn't supposed to. We got them. But we get out. I know I'll ride my district, and I know these guys here, they ride theirs. And what we can do to help, we do. But like I said, you can call me on my phone. I like to talk to people in person or on the phone. I do not like emails because they get twisted. They take it the wrong way sometimes. Well, that commissioner don't want to help us. We do want to help. Come to us face to face.
Thank you, sir. I was hoping you weren't going to make me start shouting at you. I just kidding. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just real quick, I just want to echo our other commissioners. Feel free to reach out, and we're gonna do what we can to help you. There is a very positive feeling and a lot of positive the way our meetings are being run, and I appreciate that from the chairman. So that's kind of what we were thinking with the policy. That we started out the new year with. So that's it's not like we're trying not to ignore. It's just more of a set an appointment with Victoria. She will always set up a time to meet. But yeah, I appreciate that, and I can't say it any better than these four gentlemen have already.
Thank you. Please, no shouting from the crowd. All right. And I want to make sure everybody knows that our emails are, it's the district, and I love emails because that's what I respond to the most. District, which would be District 1, District 2, District 3, whichever one, at santarosa.florida.gov. Oh, yeah, well, .fl, I'm sorry. Yeah, .fl.gov. So let me do that again. District 1,
It's a capital D now.
It doesn't have to be. District 1 at santarosa.fl.gov. All right. We got the next part of the meeting is County Administrator and County Attorney. Go ahead, Wood.
Mr. Chairman, before we get started on that, I would say that I had talked with Brother Jim and Brother Matt and gave them some information. I'll also make sure that they're aware of the contacts at the delegation and encourage them to go as a group of pastors to that delegation. And I'll work with him to help explain more things if they have questions. The other thing, we did start a dirt road paving. We were fortunate to get some restore money for District 4, primarily District 4 dirt road paving, and 3 years ago the board had discussed, and I believe it was at that time Mr. Smith had a road that had a lot of concerns. So we established a dirt road paving fund, and we've put $500,000 a year in that. So that's how Damon Road was added, I believe 2 years ago, as a dirt road paving. And then we've had a couple of roads paved by developers, and Furlong is one of those that is we're going to pave it to county standards, but the developer will be covering costs. The other one, if you remember, Harold Downey paved Three Hollow Road. So I just wanted the board to be aware of that, the two new commissioners, that this actually started in a conversation 3 years ago. In the last 2 years, there have been $500,000 allocated for dirt road paving. If we get into the next item, item number 1 under County Administrator is the Citizens Land Development Code Task Force Resolution. As y'all know, y'all held a workshop on January 28th and discussed the creation of this. This resolution just does that. I know the chairman reached out last night in item number 4 on page 2 there that the members shall be residents of Santa Rosa County, and I believe we have 2 on the initial 5 that y'all had brought up that I know 1 for sure doesn't live in the county and perhaps another one. But I did talk to those 5. So Paul McLeod, Jeff Helms, Trent Matthews, Nick Herbst, and I didn't reach out to Chris because he said in the meeting that he was willing to serve. So all 5 of them have agreed to serve. And then District 1 has recommended Philip Robbins, and District 4 has recommended Carmen Reynolds, and I don't have the recommendations from the other 3.
What was District 1?
Philip Robbins.
And District 4 is Carmen? Okay. I think it's important that we do keep that portion as Santa Rosa County only. I don't think that either of us, none of us need to be picking somebody from other counties or anywhere. I want to weigh in on this. This is something that's very exciting to me. I came in yesterday to do some work, and I just read the resolution or the ordinance, and this is something, ladies and gentlemen, this is a board that I'm blessed to be on. I love this board. I love the work ethic of everybody on this board, the tenacity, their sense of responsibility to community. And this is what is the outtake of that. This is what you get. And I want to address this. This is your place at the table. We're not going to have a recliner set up here or a throne for any builder developer. This is something that's for the people. And we're going to concentrate on areas that we already have identified as being problem areas in the Land Development Code. So, spam. I want to congratulate y'all because you've made some good decisions to get this type of action done, and I think that we're going to get a lot of good things done out of this. So I want to congratulate the people of Santa Rosa County. You've done a good job, and I'm proud to be right here. All right, if we don't have anything else on that, we will go to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, so we'll update the wording on that to reflect that the 5 appointed by each one of the commissioners will be from Santa Rosa. The others do not have to be, and we'll update that for Thursday.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we're going to go to the portion of the consent agenda. Has everybody looked over the consent agenda? I got one question. I see Jason's gone. I got one question, and this will be for the clerk's office. I'm noticing, and this has been a problem, I've noticed it in the past, and I've not asked anybody on staff about this, but we're looking at approval of October 24th minutes. And I'm just wondering, in this time of technology, why we're at a point where we're approving minutes from 3 or 4 months ago. And I hate it that Jason's left, but you're filling a seat, so I'm going to let you answer the question on that.
I'll have to ask the staff. I'm not in that office directly, so I'll have to find out, and I can get that information to the board.
Okay. Yeah, because I know we're not carving things out with a chisel and stone anymore, so it's just one of those things I was wanting to ask a question on. Right. Yeah, I'm on consent agenda. on the consent agenda right now. So is there any items on this that anybody else wants to bring up? And just for the note of record, just if the clerk would get back to me on that, I'd appreciate that. Do we have anything else on? Okay. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on the consent agenda? Anything on the consent agenda? Okay. At this point, we'll go to the we'll push the, pardon me? Pardon me?
I would just say if there's no concerns about the consent agenda, I would request that we move that to Thursday's consent agenda.
Yes,
without
correct.
objection.
Correct. Hearing none, so moved. So now we're going to go to the regular agenda, and this is the part where our county administrator's going to have to do double duty because his assistant's out today with the cruise crud. Floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is approval of an MOU with the Santa Rosa Sheriff's Office for previously approved allocation of opioid settlement funds to be used for a medically assisted treatment program. As y'all know, the board approved the concept of this, and the sheriff is asking to implement that within the jail system. So $772,425.
We have any discussion amongst the board? Hearing no discussion, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, item number 2 is approval of the 2025 Community Shelter Agreement with the City of Milton. Santa Rosa County is responsible for the sheltering of citizens during emergencies and disasters. We've had a good relationship with the city over the years, and this agreement just allows us to continue to use the Milton Community Center as emergency shelter.
Do we have any discussion amongst the board on that? I'll take this time to address this right here with the Snowmageddon that we had. I want to send a shout out to Ferris Hill Baptist Church for their work. I had the privilege of volunteering one night for that, and I just wanted to get in there and see the operations of that, and I think they had to actually push some over to the center that night. I don't know.
We were full at Ferris Hill, but we did not have to activate it. They were able to work it all out at Ferris Hill. So, but we did have to reach out to the city of Milton, and they had everything ready if we did have to roll anybody over there for that cold weather.
So they were back up. Okay, thank you. So if we have no more discussion on that, I'll make a motion to move that to the Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is approval of the updates to the Santa Rosa County Grants Compliance Manual incorporating the latest version of 2 CFR 200, the Uniform Guidance that's updated in 2024 by the Office of Management and Budget. And I just wanted to note that, our grants department spent many hours as a team going through this and providing the best and most current updates. So I'd like to just thank Sabrina and her team for this, and we are requesting your approval of the revisions to the Grants Compliance Manual.
Yes, I had time yesterday I started to read into that. It's rather large. Y'all have done a lot of work, and it's good night sleeping, reading. But it's very intense. We have any discussion on the board on this? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is under Economic Development, approval of task order number 2 for engineering services to Moffitt Nickel for Baghdad Industrial Park. As you all know, we received $7.7 million in a Triumph grant to provide a suitable industrial site to house a distribution and logistics center there on I-10 exit 26. And this task order is just to approve engineering services based on a master services agreement for $313,445.56.
We have any discussion on the board about this? Make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, the next one is also Economic Development, approval of a construction contract award to Panhandle Grading and Paving Incorporated for the taxiway construction project in the amount of $7,755,674.83. This includes a 9.26% contingency of $700,000, and continue with the task work order number 4 for post-design engineering services by Moffitt and Nickel at $102,221.34. This is also authorizing the chairman to sign all related documents and authorize the county administrator to approve the change orders with weather delays and utilization of the contingency fund. You know, this is part of the project at the Whiting Aviation Park, and we do have a limited access use agreement with the United States Navy, and this is a project that y'all are all familiar with, and this just helps us move it along to support our partners out there.
Yeah, I know that Commissioner Wright and I are very familiar with that, as last week a lot of the discussions were, you know, when we were talking to a lot of the contingency up there in D.C., these are the things that matter to us, and that's a big one. We have any more discussion amongst the board on this? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, item number 6 is approval of the following events, and there are 5 of them listed, and I'll answer any questions if you have them.
I've looked at all of them. I don't think that there's any that gives me any heartache. Is anybody? All right. I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
And that concludes that section, and we'll move into operations and safety. Item number 1 is really an information only, but we want to make sure the board was aware at Berry Hill Road and Stratford Lane. The board previously had done a resolution. You'll see that in the backup after being reached out by that neighborhood, and Stratford Lane no longer has access. Well, it has a gated access to Berry Hill Road that they would utilize for emergency conditions as we do our 4-lane widening project. As it stands right now, we are not planning a connection there. If we're going to not have a connection to Stratford that's going to be utilized, it's our recommendation we just leave that without a connection. So previously the board had said there would be no connection there, so just kind of information only unless the board wants to action on that and us to reach out to that group. But it's kind of at a critical point where we're in design. We're either going to connect to it or we're going to bypass it, and there will not be a connection. No emergency access for that second access to that subdivision.
Anything amongst the board on discussion on that? All right. I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, item number 2 is approval to enter into a 5-year contract with Motorola Solutions for cybersecurity detection and response for the radio core, the amount of $94,783.20. As the board knows, we are utilizing the core with Escambia County. That's what we partnered with back in 2007, I believe. And this just allows us to have some enhanced cybersecurity detection and response. If you're not familiar with the current radio systems, we're really working on computers now. That's the world we live in. So our radio system is driven by a computer core, and obviously cybersecurity threats are continuing to increase as we've seen them with the 911 system as well. So just to recommend approval for this 5-year contract with Motorola Solutions.
Any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is also public safety, and it's related to the Next Generation 911. The action request is that you authorize the terminating of the contract with NGA 911 LLC for Next Generation 911 services. We do have Ryan and Tom here with a short presentation for you. We went into this regional concept of Next Generation 911 I want to say a couple of years ago. As it's evolved, NGA 911 has failed to provide us adequate coverage, and I believe now all but one county has already terminated their contracts as far as the 10 regions go. And we did just get an email from the state where they also indicated that 9 NGA 911 was failing to meet the demands of their clients. So I'll just get Tom and Ryan up here and we'll do a quick overview for you, and then ultimately we're asking for termination of the contract with NGA 911.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Brad, thank you for asking us to come up here and speak. So the current situation that Santa Rosa County is dealing with our next gen 911 system, our vendor NGA is not meeting their obligations. So to give you a quick background here, going back to the end of 2021, early part of 2022, this was an initiative by the state of Florida by region, and of course we're in Region 1, so there was 10 counties that were involved in this project with NGA to begin with. As Mr. Baker stated, we're now down to our final 2. That is us and one of our stakeholder counties to the east. The timeline on this, as I stated, goes back to the early part of 2022, which is where we signed the agreement, statement of work, and got everything going to move forward. The contractual end date for it was supposed to be May of 23, and here we are a year and 8, almost 9 months later, and the project is still not complete. We were recently supposed to be completed with phase 6, and NGA failed to meet that milestone as well. So at that point, we had to put a hold on payment, which I would like to speak on that for just a quick second. I want to make it very clear to the board members that Santa Rosa County is not paying for this out of our own tax funds. This is all funded purely through state level grants and part of that project with Region 1. So we're not out any money per se as far as that consideration would go. From a technology standpoint, NGA has missed the mark on several occasions. My primary concern is the Annie and Alley, which is the automated location information, automated number information that transfers over from 911 calls. This is important to us. If we were to have a catastrophic failure and needed to fail over to a Scambia system, which right now, with where we're sitting, we would not, I do not have confidence that we would be able to do that successfully. They're doing that with analog admin lines, but that does not give us the ability to have those automated numbers and automated locations as those 911 calls come in. So that is a big concern of mine. From a contractual standpoint, NGA has missed the mark on several occasions as far as services that they needed to provide. We have had correspondence with them over the last 120 days, and those concerns have not been addressed properly, which leads us to this point here where we're at now and the way forward. So a viable solution for us, what I'm requesting the board do is give us permission to start looking elsewhere. We do have other vendors in mind. From a financial standpoint, I believe we will be able to stay on state level grants to be able to fund that, and also why we make the transition from NGA to a new provider. So pending any questions, that's all I have, and I'll turn it over to Tom.
So as Ryan said, the contractor definitely has not met their contract requirements for us to proceed forward. Our 911 system is still solid. We're still able to process calls appropriately, get citizens the help that they need, and the majority of the state has gone with there are several other contractors that we can look at to be able to provide this service to our citizens. So the project will continue forward, just hopefully with a vendor that provides things in a timely manner and a product that they can guarantee. So with that, any questions?
I appreciate that. I appreciate the breakdown on that. I don't know about the rest of the board, but when I see you two, and then we have the luxury of having Brad Baker as our county administrator, I see 3 experts in the room that are looking that way, so anybody have any questions of these gentlemen? Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming up here and
Thank you.
addressing that for
Thank
us.
you, sir. The team did
Thank
an
you.
excellent job of a deep dive into this to definitely, be able to find out exactly where the issues were and for us to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Floor is yours again.
Mr.
Right.
Chairman, I would like to highlight Natasha sitting in the background back there. She's also the one, she took over for Kevin Sowell with his recent retirement. She's been working in that department for quite some time and is another great asset to the team out there, so I want to give her a quick shout out. But yeah, we're just asking that y'all authorize the termination of this contract with NGA 911 LLC, and the team will bring you additional recommendations when they find another vendor.
Make a motion to move this to Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is approval of task order number 3 with Vulcan Materials for the purchase of stock for the Public Works Sign Shop. The county has had an agreement with them for some time now, and this is just a task order to buy those materials. As you know, we upgraded our sign machine last year, and they're able to do some nicer, more efficient, and more cost-effective signs for the county now.
We have any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Item number 5 is approval of task order number 1 for Acme Barricades to perform thermoplastic striping as detailed in the backup documentation, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. And you can see there in the background the different streets that will have this striping done.
We have any discussion amongst the board? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just want to point out, just so the public and the media is aware, that simply because I've had so many phone calls and emails about this, as part of this contract for striping, it would include Santa Rosa Drive from College Parkway to Bayview Lane, and Circle Drive, West Avenue and Circle Lane would be the stop bars there near Swenson Park.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, the next is through the Environmental Department, approval to hold a household hazardous waste Amnesty Day event Saturday, March the 8th from 8 to 12 at the South Service Center. And as you know, we have that available here at the primary landfill, and we just offer this to the south end. We try to do it at least once a year, if not more, and so this would be the day set aside. And we do partner with Okaloosa County, which receives the state funding for the events, and they cover about 80% of the cost for us to do that.
So this is, when it says south, it's at the landfill. This is the drop point, correct?
The drop point will be at the South Service Center, and Michael's team will have people there, and they'll bring it back up to the HHW facility here to manage it. I mean, you know, the paint is a big thing, and we try to recycle a lot of that. So if you ever have a craft project and you need some paint, you're welcome to swing by there, and they have gallons and 5 gallons of it, and get the paint and reuse it. So
For cheap, like real cheap. Yeah, is there a way to, I'd like to have a better advertisement of this, to tell you the truth, because this is something that I've been behind a garbage truck before, and I've seen a lot of stuff fall out of that truck when you're just sitting there watching it, that like, wow. And I'm not going to put the onus on the collector to sit there and police things, but I've seen it firsthand myself, and that's something that's, you know, we do have to keep our landfill clean. And, you know, I know that's an oxymoron to some people, but it's not. But if we could just put it, you know, make sure we advertise that and make sure we have proper addresses on there.
we will. Michael's team works with the PO, and they'll get it out, and it is limited as to what they can bring and dispose of, their limited quantities, et cetera. But that service is available at the landfill.
All the time.
Correct.
Yeah, I know. I've got to catch my wife sometimes. All right, any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is approval of an extension to the Central Landfill Green Waste Grinding Contract Agreement with Jimmy Crowder Excavating and Land Clearing Incorporated for an additional year at existing contract pricing. Back in May of 2022, the board approved an agreement with that, and the agreement was for 1 year and allowed up to 3 one-year extensions. So this is the third and final extension with Jimmy Crowder Excavating. So we just asked the board to approve that, and then next year we'll go out to bid for that.
We have any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, items number 8, 9, and 10 are very similar. Item number 8 is approval of award of construction contract for Navarre Beach Bridge fender repair to Soul Construction for the amount of $1,796,898.57, and authorize the board chairman to sign all related documents. The next two, I'll take them however you want, but they are just to allow us to do owner direct purchase of those bridge materials, but they're all tied to the same project. So however you'd like to handle those.
Are you suggesting we tie them all together, or?
Well, we can cover them separately, but I know the district commissioner had some comments. So I just
Okay.
want to make sure everybody knew that all three of those are the same. It just allows us to save roughly almost $80,000 with a
Right.
tax benefit by purchasing them.
Yes, I saw that. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I want to talk about these three. You know, I've been on board wanting a new bridge in Navarre. These three right here are costing us $3,168,784.39. This telling me we've been kicking this can down the road for a long time. We keep repairing it. It's a 1960 bridge. It's done its part. It's time for a new bridge. We need more lanes. I've talked to the sheriff department. They're talking about how much trouble they have going across the bridge and coming back if they have a wreck. They can't get across. They can't get back across. Yeah, they can go down all the way to Pensacola. That's a long way. But this right here telling me we wasted a lot of money on this bridge. And I'd appreciate y'all looking at this, see what we can do, get a new bridge. Right now, I think we need to put a toll back on the old bridge. It should never come off. That would help us pay for some of this repair. And if we do get a new bridge, we don't have to put a toll on it. It don't have to be a big toll, but we got to have money coming in to repair it instead of using all the taxpayers' money. We got tourists coming from everywhere. Let them help us pay for this. That's the way I look at it. And, you know, don't put it all on Santa Rosa County people. Let's let the tourists help us pay for it. And I appreciate y'all looking at this real close, please.
Okay. Any more discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move this to the Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, the next one would be approval to use the direct owner purchase method to buy bridge materials from Tangent Technologies LLC in the amount of $364,376.82 for the Navarre Beach Bridge fender repair projects, saving us just under $21,000 in sales tax.
Yeah, this was interesting to look at, and I just want to take the time to reach out to Sabrina for being very, very thrifty. These are the things that really matter. It's the nickels and dimes. I know a lot of us, when we're in the government side, we're looking at nickels and dimes as being 80,000 and stuff like that. It's like, okay, but when you get into reality, it's real money, and I appreciate you and the work you've done. We have any more discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, the next one is owner direct purchasing approval through Creative Pultrusions Incorporated in the amount of $1,007,509 for The Navarre Beach fender repairs, saving us approximately $56,000 in sales tax.
Any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Item number 11 is approval of final plat and acceptance and maintenance of infrastructure of Marlin Place at Avalon Phase 2, a 95-lot public subdivision located in District 2, and this has met the engineering department's review based on the current land development code.
Any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Next item is approval of the final plat and acceptance and maintenance of infrastructure of Hidden Pines First Edition 139-lot subdivision, public subdivision located in District 2. Once again, this has met the engineer's review based on the current land development code.
We have any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection. Hearing none, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is approval of a task order in the amount of $116,335 for McKim and Creed to develop a master plan service for the Joppa Road Football Complex. Authorize the board chairman to sign all related documents. As you know, we've done practice fields out there at the Joppa Road Football Complex, and this would just allow us to master plan and let y'all phase in the next things. That'll give us survey data, traffic engineering, conceptual designs, along with a cost estimation, so the board can make decisions of how we move forward with a competition field out in that complex.
Yes, sir.
Very excited about this. I think this gives us an opportunity to kind of broaden our tourism tax as we start looking into sports tourism. As I know, everybody on this board has talked about one way or the other, so I'm very excited about this. And I know this is just we're just getting the ball rolling, so to speak, but very excited about this.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Commissioner. That's a very good one. It's one that made me very excited as well. Any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is a preliminary plat approval. Before I get into it, I will make sure the board is aware. We have past board have authorized the engineer to sign off on preliminary plats. However, this one is unique. So this is a discussion to allow the county engineer to approve the preliminary plat for the Monarch subdivision once all comments have been addressed, with a stipulation that the capacity for sanitary sewer must be provided before approval of the development order for the construction of the subdivision. This developer has reached out to us for us to consider capacity in our wastewater treatment facility there at the industrial park. They have met with the chairman and myself, and we've discussed it with the team, and we believe we'll have the capacity as we evolve that out there. Made it very clear to them that it would be contingent upon us going live before they could get any COs issued. And being this is kind of out of the ordinary and our first of these, we just wanted to bring it to the board and make sure the board was good allowing Rebecca to sign off on that preliminary plat when it comes down to only the capacity letter being needed.
All right. Do we have any discussion amongst the board? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to move that to Thursday's consent agenda without objection.
Mr. Chairman, that completes the operations and safety report.
All right. I want to reach out to my board members here, my fellow board members. I made a mistake earlier in the meeting. I skipped over the county administrator part of this. It is an agenda item, Citizens Land Development Code Task Force. I had 3 people signed up to talk on that, and I skipped right over them, and I apologize for that. So I'm going to make a redo on this and go ahead and open the floor up for that. And I apologize to my guys. Everybody understands what we're doing. We're back on the page of the Land Development Code Task Force. The first name on the list is Jerry Cooey.
Jerry Cooey, Milton, Florida. Mr. Chairman, you could have wedged us back in there a little bit sooner. I think this is a good step. I appreciate it. We all know what the last one looked like. Please don't have a repeat of that. I don't mind everybody having a seat at the table, but I don't appreciate a 14-foot wood wall put between us and us being in the back of the bus like what happened the last time. I know it's early in the process, and I'll certainly express my concerns to this board when it's put together, but our best management practices are failing us miserably around any moving bodies of water. Certainly I've had some conversations with Commissioner Burkett on some ways to fix that, but I hope that in light of what has occurred in Mulat Bayou and Annie's Basin, that be one of the big focuses to this committee, because that's what's generating all the problems. That's what's generating all the contempt. That's what's generating all the staff time that is necessary to take care of this. That needs to be a major focus of this. And also streamlining processes to identify when people are skirting the rule of law or skirting the rules in land development. Chris had just pointed out something to me, and I think he's going to get in a little more detail. You already have the authority to pull a building permit today. So I think it should be pretty clear to everybody here now that in the situation we're talking about on Mulat Bayou, there should have been an environmental resources permit pulled. There should be some holding ponds over there, and the letter of the law was skirted. And that's one of the areas that you can do something about it immediately. You can get some attention very quickly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. And the next we have is Chris Kerb.
Thank you, Chris Kerb, Flood Defenders again. I've already started going through the land development code. Actually did that before we even started the task force, but Jerry was speaking about something that I've pointed out to him. It's under 3.0405A, 1A. That's under your erosion and sediment control. And it says any sediment and debris that leaves the development site shall be properly recovered by the building permit holder. Failure to comply with this requirement shall constitute a violation of this ordinance and shall cause for suspension of a building permit or development order and code enforcement action. Those 23 building permits on Damon Drive, they could be suspended if you so chose, because they do not have an environmental resource permit. If you go to, I got it right here, I think it's 3.0209 of your land development code. I don't know what I've done with it. Basically, it says you got to have a water management district permit. Yeah, 3.0209. Something that needs to be added to that when we get to the code for staff. It specifies Northwest Florida Water Management District, Section 373.036. That section of Florida statute actually sets up the water management districts. You should also add Chapter 62.330. But you do have that covered under 3.0401, where you specify environmental resource permits. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to take this time to also point out something too, that when Mr. Kerb, you had said something about, and this is not a question, but you had said something about a developer saying that they always do these land clearings without permission. I'm just here to say that's not the deal anymore. That's not happening anymore. So I wanted to make sure that's pointed out. This board does not allow for that. And we've got proof to show you that we don't put up with it. All right. This time, we go over the meeting list. Yes, tonight we have the Fire Department Executive Group meeting. It'll be at the EOC building at 6:30 p.m. this evening. Wednesday night in this chamber, we'll have the Aviation Advisory Committee meeting in this chamber at 5 p.m. And then next Thursday, we'll be back with this cast of crew at 8:30 a.m. in these chambers for the regular meeting. There's your meeting list. At this time, we are adjourned.